You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
You know what they put in the water, don't you? Fluoride. On the pretext that it strengthens your teeth.
Hey good folks, this is another video from aplanetruth.info. Well, I think we found the holy grail of who they are, and this is thanks to Zushian Revelations. The site is not old, it's only been out a few months, and I found this site from comments that the Zushian had made some excellent comments that I was not aware of as regarding deeper well than the Jesuits about who's really running the show. And so I got onto his blog, and I tell you, I've been on this, or his or her blog, I'm not sure who was putting this out there, but I've been on this blog now for hours, and it is absolutely a gold mine of information, and I hope you will get on it. I hope you'll catch it and store it and save it, because this might be taken out right away. I doubt very seriously this is misleading or a psyop in any way, but as we get into this, I think you'll see that, it's only been here since May, that the information in here is absolutely gold mine as to understanding how deep the well is and how much we don't know about who is really running the show, how long they've been running the show, who's involved, who's the real players and who are just the puppets and the real puppet master. But I think you'll be just absolutely amazed as we go through all this stuff. And you can go on the right side here and all the taglines and look at all the information that is presented here. And again, there's no one taking credit for this. It's just it's a release of just mass information presented very clearly. And I'm just stunned by this information. It's just absolutely fascinating to learn all this knowledge about the hidden occult secret world of the families behind who's running the show. I also highly recommend Fritz Springmeier's book, The 13 Satanic Bloodlines, that he gets into, and it includes a lot of this stuff as well. All right, so let's get into it. I think you'll find it absolutely fascinating, exciting as I have. It's new truth for me. I think it'll be new truths for a lot of you guys and gals, and let's go. So this comes from, as I said, Zeus Revelations, and here's the website. It's only been up since 2 months or so, so please catch it, save it however you can. This is very, very important information. All right, so let's get into it. Barack Obama, the Joker's Sacrifice. Barack Obama is a Freemasonic member of the Royal Order of Jesters, which was founded in Hawaii, where Barack Obama is from. The Order of Jesters is a Shriner order that specializes in mental terrorism. Fully initiated members of the secret societies are involved in human sacrifice and even the consumption of human blood and flesh. Barack Obama sacrificed a woman named Mariah Carey, get it, Mariah Carey, using electronic weaponry and witchcraft. Mariah Carey was reported claiming that Obama was communicating with her. She drove to Connecticut to Washington, D.C., where she was shot and killed by police. Most victims of this electronic torment are considered schizophrenic. However, they are not. I suggest you look at my video, I'll include in the show notes, titled Touchless Torture, and get into this more. So she was targeted, carrying out by secret society. It was Barack Obama that led this attack, which caused her death. The police that shot her were also under electromagnetic mind-altering influences directed by Freemasons. Most untimely deaths are sacrifices carried out by secret societies using witchcraft and electronic weaponry. The entire electronic grid has been designed to enable electronic targeting, and this is carried out by members of secret societies trained in hacking. They use smartphone apps and dark web to coordinate and hack the electronics. The electronics are being hacked and are emitting electromagnetic frequencies that then hack into the brain and nervous system. All right, the Bush crime family. The Bush family were German nobility that descended from the Bush family. The Bush family ruled as feudal lords in the regions of Ravensburg and Osnabrück, located in Westphalia. The House of Bush had several family branches in the Holy Roman Empire, and the Bush family are one of them. The German word for Bush is Bush. In their region of Osnabrück, it was governed by the Catholic prince-bishops, which were given the authority by the Pope of Rome. The movement of protesting against Roman papal authority rose up in Osnabrück, so they brought in the Jesuits to combat these protesters of Rome. The University of Osnabrück was then turned into a Jesuit university for a short period of time. Jeb Bush is a Roman Catholic convert and fourth-degree Knight of Columbus. Adolphus Busch was an ancestor of the Foreman Busch family of Westphalia and co-founder of the Anheuser-Busch Beer Company. The Busch family are also intermarried with German-Dutch royalty like that of the House of Lippe. Now, is Barbara Bush the daughter of the beast Aleister Crowley? The Pierce name from Barbara Bush comes from the Percy family, who are British peers and dukes of Northumberland. The Bush family are basically the royal family of the United States working as princes under the authority of the House of Windsor, which have German ancestry. George Herbert Walker Bush is a knight of the House of Windsor's Order of the Bath. King Edward VIII of the House of Windsor was a Nazi supporter. Axel von Damm Busch was a Nazi soldier who planned to assassinate Adolf Hitler, just another one of the many lies by this wicked family similar to the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The German royal and noble families helped to create Hitler and the Nazi movement. The Windsor family changed their name under King George V, who was from the House of Glucksburg and the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, and both of these families were involved with the Nazis. Prescott Bush's Union Banking Corporation, that was the father of George Bush's, was holding gold for Nazis, was shut down under the, quote, Trading with the Enemy Act. Vannevar Bush, his father, oversaw the Manhattan Project as the head of the Office of Scientific Research and Development. Prescott Bush, George Walker Bush, and George Bush were all initiated in the Skull and Bones Secret Society at Yale. The Nazi SS secret society used the Skull and Bones symbol. The Skull and Bones Secret Society at Yale is a military council, which is why George Bush Sr. started the Gulf War and George Bush Jr. started the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. The Skull and Bones also use military and war for recruiting soldiers into paramilitary death squads, which are used inside the United States for persecution and assassinations. The Bush family are a menace to society. British Crown agents. Yale and Harvard, along with several other prestigious universities, are owned by the British Crown. The Crown colonies are companies owned by the British monarchs and other royal families that do business inside the City of London Corporation. The British royal family uses these universities to recruit their Crown agents, who then serve their interest by infiltrating corporate and government agencies. Many high levels members in the U.S. military intelligence come from Yale, Brown, and Harvard. The British Crown also uses Crown Knights as agents who pledge their allegiance to the House of Windsor and return or granted power and wealth. U.S. President George Herbert Walker Bush was knighted under the Order of the Bath. Former U.S. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Henry Kissinger is a Knight of the British Empire. Henry Kissinger is a major developer of their depopulation agenda as the author of the National Security Study Memorandum, a report on slowing population growth. Former chairman of the Federal Reserve Alan Greenspan is a Knight of the British Empire. The wealthiest man on the planet, Bill Gates, is a Knight of the British Empire and worth about $89 billion. Bill Gates also openly promotes depopulation and uses his wealth to impose deadly vaccinations around the world. Also geoengineering. Rudy Giuliani is a Knight of the British Empire. He's also former mayor of New York, along with Michael Bloomberg, who is a Knight of the British Empire and worth about $50 billion. General Wesley Clark is a Knight of the British Empire. Steven Spielberg is a Knight of the British Empire and worth about $3.7 billion. Ronald Reagan was a Knight of the British Empire. Shimon Peres, the former President and Prime Minister of Israel, was a Knight of the Order of St. Michael and St. George. Knights and court factors serve royal courts. Buckingham Palace is a royal court. Organized crime. The Clintons and the Obamas are working for the Chicago Mafia, which are aligned with the Mexican Mafia and the Mexican drug cartels. Hillary Clinton is from Chicago, and Barack Obama is a professor at the University of Chicago Law School, as well as a senator for Illinois. Barack Obama's Project Gunrunner was about arming the Mexican cartels and a continuation of George W. Bush's programs. Project Gunrunner was openly criticized because it ended up providing guns for organizing crime in Mexico, and these guns were used for to murder public officials and Mexican citizens. Just a side note, I put in Jew and Obama Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel is the mayor of Chicago now. The Bush family, who own property in Texas near the border, also work with the Mexican cartels and use their power and wealth to influence the government in Texas. Donald Trump is a front man for the five families in New York, and they want the wall at the border because they do not like the drug cartels cutting into their territory. Donald Trump used the Genovese and Gambino-owned S&A Concrete for building his condos in Manhattan. Donald Trump purchased property from the mafia hitman Salvatore Testa to build his casino in Atlantic City, which now just went bankrupt. Trump used Roy Cohn as an attorney who also worked for former mafia bosses John Gotti and Tony Salerno. The Genovese crime family have infiltrated much of Wall Street and extort businessmen. The mafia are the ones doing the human trafficking and trolling most of the politicians through blackmail. The U.S. military and intelligence agencies have been running their opium fields in Afghanistan and shipping a portion back into the United States and then handing it to the five families, which then cut it into heroin and have sold it into the streets. That's why we have a heroin epidemic in the United States. The Italian mafia uses the Albion mafia and street gangs for doing most of their dirty work. Prince Mario Schigi Albani del Rovere and his son Prince Flavio Schigi Albani della Rovere own and control the Albanian mafia. Atlantic City has been fully controlled by the Atlanta Mafia since the Atlantic City Conference in 1929. Donald Trump is the front man for the five families in New York, and they're controlled by Italian nobility. Donald Trump's ex-wife, Ivana Trump, even dated Prince Raffredo Gattiani de Aragona. Members of the Gattani crime family include the vineyard owner and wizard of wine, Gelasio Gattani de Argano Lavatelli. Donald, I won't get into the rest of these names, but they've been hiding out in Venice after faking their death, and maybe in Switzerland today. The Mexican Mafia uses MS-13 as their street soldiers, and they are ruthless. King Juan Carlos of Spain spent Thanksgiving at the Bush Ranch several years ago as a cover for business dealings and organized crime. The Italian nobility that have Spanish ties, like the Colonna, Ruspoli, and Massimo families, have some ownership over the Chicago faction. Prince Dado Ruspoli was even an actor in the movie The Godfather 3, and he had Brazilian ancestry. The Italian mafia also controlled the drug cartels in South America. The Jewish mafia works closely with the Italian mafia, and most of the Jewish factions are controlled by the Colonna and Orsini families of Rome. The House of Axe. The current plot is causing a second civil war in the United States. They are presently paying Freemasons and other groups to instigate division between Republicans and Democrats. They appear to be planning to use the Democratic politicians to lead an impeachment process of Trump, with the attempt of leading to protests and riots carried out by the fake political group Antifa, which stands for anti-fascist, and I'm going to get into that in another video shortly. They plan to hire agitators who will cause violence with the intent of escalation. They may stage or set up violent conflicts between the political groups. They attempted to cause a violent revolt a few years ago between militias and federal agents over the staged Clive and Bundy psyop carried out by Freemasons. This occurred in Nevada. Fashion derived from the word fasces and really means centralization of power. This is why they added the ancient Roman fasces symbol into the U.S. federal buildings and the federal seals after the American Civil War. The fasces symbol is a bundle of sticks, usually includes an axe, a henchman's axe. The bundle of sticks refer to the bundling together authority, and the axe refers to control under the threat of force or beheading. The House of Bernadotte are trained in starting civil wars to divide and conquer, and then burning down societies when Rome starts to lose control. The former Navy SEAL Ryan Zinke, who is current U.S. Secretary of Interior for Trump, is an agent of the House of Bernadotte. The Bernadotte family run a Lutheran church. Ryan Zinke has covert authority over the Navy SEAL Special Forces and commands them to carry out black operations on those marked for persecution. The black military helicopters people mention in Navy SEALs are involved in using covert electronic and microwave weaponry on the United States civilians. The Ruspoli crime family. The Ruspoli family is one of the most wicked criminal bloodlines, and they are top owners of the Vatican, with princely titles all over Italy and Spain. The Ruspoli family have some authority of their South American drug cartels as well. John Paul Getty was considered the wealthiest man in America in his time. Prince Leone Rispoli Sforza was a top executive for the Banco Romano and worked on the Italian Bank of the South. He is also the Italian High Commissioner of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta and ambassador for the military order. The Sovereign Military Order of Malta. The Sovereign Military Order of Malta is the oldest knighthood in the world, and its headquarters is in Rome at the Palazzo Malta. The Southern Military Order of Malta is considered a sovereign entity under international law under United Nations. They also have extraterritoriality within Italy. Many members of the royal families and heads of constitutional monarchies are members of the SMOM. What makes the SOM different from all other knighthoods is that it is a sovereign entity. The SOMN is an entity that has higher authority than the Vatican. And members include King Carlos of Spain, Queen Paola of Belgium, Queen Beatrix of Netherlands. You can read the rest here. The Sovereign Council of the Order of Malta is a top military council in the world. The Australian nobility have always been connected with the SOMON. It was the Italian nobility, Australian nobility, and their Knights of Malta that created the fascists and Nazis and orchestrated World War I and World War II. William F. Buckley was a Knight of Malta and conservative political commentator in the U.S. Pat Buchanan is another conservative political commentator and Knight of Malta. J. Peter Grace was an American businessman, politician, and member of the Council for National Polity and Knight of Malta. The Nazi Vice Chancellor Franz von Papen was a Knight of Malta. Dwight D. Eisenhower was the only officially known Knight of Malta that has been President of the United States. The Knight of Malta Joseph Smith was Inspector General for the Department of Defense under George W. Bush and was executive under the private military company Blackwater Worldwide, now renamed Academia. Joseph Smith was a professor at Jesuit Georgetown and worked as a political advisor for Donald Trump during his elections. And you can read about all the Knights of Malta list here. Other Knights of Malta include CIA Director James McCone, William Casey, William Colby, who was nicknamed the Warrior Priest. Knight of Malta Alexander Craig was a U.S. Army general, U.S. Secretary of State under Ronald Reagan, and White House Chief of Staff under Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford. Haig was also Jesuit educated at Georgetown. He was the one covertly running the Pentagon and White House during the 70s and 80s. The CIA was founded by William Donovan, who was nicknamed the Father of Central Intelligence, and he was knighted by 2 Vatican orders and likely a Knight of Malta. Jesuit-educated CIA directors include Robert Gates, George Tenet, Leon Panetta, Michael Morrell, David Petraeus, and John Brennan, and they are overseen by the Order of Malta. The Jewish order was established by the Farnese family under Pope Paul III, or Alessandro Farnese, through the papal bull called Regimini Militis Ecclesiae, military regiment of the Church. The Farnese family lived in a pentagonal fortress called the Farnese Villa Caparola. The Vatican Knights and Jesuits, as well as the Knights of Malta, are deeply involved with U.S. military intelligence. The House of Colonna hold the continual position of Prince Assistants to the papal throne to the Vatican. They claim to be Julio-Claudian dynasty of ancient Rome and directly descend from Peter Columna and the Counts of Tusculum. The Colonna family used the column on their coat of arms, which is a symbol for political power. The Colonna name derives from the Greek word kolonna, which means column. The Columbus and Colombo names also derive from columna, and from Peter de Columna. Christopher Columbus was a relative of the Colonna family, and he claimed America for Rome. Christopher Columbus was born in Genoa and was funded by the Doria banking family, who were intermarried with the House of Colonna. The Colonnas control the Colombo crime family and several Jewish mafia factions, which also run Hollywood and Columbia Pictures. The House of Colonna controlled the Knights of Columbus, which used the Roman fascist symbol for his logo. And here you see in the Capitol House, the Congressional House, the fasces are on each side when the president gives his State of the Union address. It's right in our faces, folks. There are many police officers and federal agents that are members of the Knights of Columbus. The Colonna family have influence over police and organized crime. The five families are covert enterprises for the Italian nobility, and they use their mafia to blackmail politicians. And here you see the Freemason symbols on many police badges, folks. Jerry Colonna is a financier from New York City who helped establish Silicon Valley. Jerry Colonna, who is believed to be worth over $50 million, started a small investment firm called Flatiron Partners, which was in the business of making billions for companies like J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan's owned by the Rockefellers and Arab interest. Jerry Colonna is protected by organized crime, which attack me whenever I mention him. The Colonna family ceremonially rule over Capitoline Hill, which represents political power of Rome's corporate empire. The column symbolizes the political support that maintains their claim to governmental land ownership. Washington, D.C. is a Roman architecture and has Roman fascist symbols all over U.S. federal buildings and seals. Fascism means central to power. Capitol Hill is named after the Capitoline Hill in Rome. Washington, D.C. was called Rome in 1669. Members of the Colonna family include Prince Odin Colonna. You can read the rest there. Above is an image of the National Capitol columns in Washington, D.C. The column is a symbol used on government buildings and represents political power. Mitt Romney is a powerful politician in the United States. The meaning of the name Romney is Roman and derives from Romulus. There is a family of British peers with the name Romney, and they too have Roman ancestry. Mitt Romney is like the modern-day Romulus, who was the founder of the Kingdom of Rome and an ancestor of the kings of Alba. The Colonna family descend from the kings of Alba and claim to be ancestors of the Julio-Claudian family. Mitt Romney is a powerful leader in the Mormon Church and is worth over $250 million. Freemasons from New York like Joseph Smith founded the Mormon Church. Both Freemasonry and Mormonism use the beehive as a common symbol. The Colonna family merged with the Barberini family, and they have bees on their coats of arms. The beehive state in front of the Utah Capitol. The beehive state in front of the Utah Capitol building, which incorporate columns into its architecture. The Mormons settled into Utah and have a major influence in politics there. The Barberini family uses bees on their coat of arms. Prince Urbani Riaro Sforza Barberini Colonna de Sciarra represents the Barbini family, who today, which produced one pope and several cardinals for the Roman Catholic Church. Freemasons use honey as an allegory for energy, which they steal from others through their rigged monetary system. Honey is the greatest preservative and the longest lasting of foods. The Tolonia banking family. The House of Tolonia are the top bankers in society and the Vatican treasurers. The Geneva flag uses a papal key on it. The UBS Bank uses papal keys for its logo. Switzerland and the Vatican City-State are the only two nations on the planet that use the square flag. Switzerland is basically a papal state. UniCredit is a popular bank in Europe and its headquarters in Rome. The House of Tolonia is also intermarried with the Javal banking family of France and the royal family of Luxembourg. The Borghese family have a dragon on their coat of arms and live in Rome. Drago, similar to Draghi, is the Italian word for dragon. Mario Draghi was born in Rome and was a Jesuit educated from the Massimiliano Massimo Institute, and he is one of the most powerful bankers in the Society of the President European Central Bank. These banking families are funded and managing secret societies in the United States who serve Rome. The Nazi Bank for International Settlements. The Bank for International Settlements, or BIS, is connected to most of the world's central banks and siphoning off wealth and laundering money in private Swiss bank accounts. The BIS was established by London bankers and Nazi businessmen like Baron Montague Norman, the former governor of the Bank of England. The BIS is involved in making international bank transfers and is through discrete tax contracts like the Belgian Chet dues with the United States is how they steal money from nations. The Italian nobility and the European monarchs claim to have shares in the corporate governments and are the ones siphoning off wealth from the nations. They use this money to pay their foreign agents and their secret societies. Even Hollywood is involved in this, like the actor Don Johnson, who was caught with $8 billion in transactions at the Swiss-German border. Banking in Switzerland is private, and they're concealing billions in private accounts. The Swiss Guard protects the Vatican today. The Rothschilds are the bankers to the Vatican. The House of Savoy ruled over Geneva for centuries for the Vatican and Prince Vittorio Emanuele IV of Savoy, and has a residence in Geneva. The Vatican and Switzerland are the only two nations on the planet, as I said, that use a square flag. Technocratic sorcery. DARPA and the Department of Defense, along with Silicon Valley, have developed an artificial singularity through HAARP, satellites, electronics, and chemtrails. HAARP, modern electronics, and wireless frequencies are generating geometrically designed programs into society. The chemtrails are made of nanoconductive particles that create an electromagnetic fuzz in the air, and this enhances these electronic frequencies and creates a type of artificial singularity. These frequencies are hacking into the nerve systems and electrical systems of the human biology and can manipulate chemicals, pain, arousal, as well as psychological states. The Church of Scientology is also working with Silicon Valley, which has developed weaponized electronics disguised as computers, smartphones, wireless frequencies, and other systems. Sorcery is the unnatural manipulation of unseen forces like sounds, chemical reactions, and vibrational geometries with the intent of manipulating body chemistry, thoughts, and physiology. The Kabbalah and Hermeticism are common forms of witchcraft practiced by these secret societies. Natalie Portman, the actress, is the most torturous Kabbalist on the planet. I am serious. The Church of Scientology, Kabbalah Center, and Silicon Valley have worked together to develop electronic weapons based on this witchcraft. The Church of Scientology considers itself a Gnostic organization. Modern Gnosticism has been connected with Hermeticism, which has a focus on alchemy on the manipulation of body chemicals. Kabbalah is similar, but more about the manipulation of the mind and physiology through geometric sounds and vibrations. The Church of Scientology is involved with training members to use electronics with witchcraft. They are using electronics and wireless frequencies to torture people. Anonymous and other hacker groups are also involved with this covert operation. Excuse me. Silicon Valley is partly overseen by Santa Clara University, which is a Jesuit college, and California's Jesuit provincial, who is Jesuit Michael F. Weiler. The Jesuits are deeply involved with the U.S. military and intelligence agencies. Santa Clara alum include Leon Panetta, David Drummond, Senior Vice President of Corporate Development, Google, Brendan Eich, and the co-founder of Mozilla and JavaScript, Jack Kuhler, a former top executive and electronic engineer for IBM, and former Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano, Peter Oppenheimer, the former Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Apple. Santa Clara has courses in various science, engineering, and psychological counseling. Also, the governor of California is Jerry Brown. He was a Jesuit priest. The mayor of San Francisco, former Gavin Newsom, lieutenant governor, went to Santa Clara University as well. There's a Church of Scientology located in Silicon Valley, and some companies located in Silicon Valley include Sony, Google, Oracle, Hewlett-Packard, Adobe, BEA Systems, and many more. Japanese electronic companies work closely with Silicon Valley. Akihito, the Emperor of Japan, is a Knight of the Order of the Garter and serves the British Crown as the blood-appointed head state in Japan. The British royal family are deeply involved in this criminality and have Crown Knights and Freemasons involved in the U.S. military and intelligence, which work alongside the Jesuits and Roman agents. Sky Dayton is a Scientologist and created Earthlink, which is a network and communications company. This is all about domination through the most ruthless measures. Many of the leaders in the global crime syndicate refer to themselves as technocrats. Technocracy is about technological-based governing systems. Many major actors in Hollywood are members of the Church and Scientology: Tom Cruise, John Travolta, Christy Alley. Many in Hollywood are covert members in Hollywood Illuminati. The Hollywood Illuminati leader is George Clooney. Hollywood magic. The term Hollywood derives from the holly tree. The holly tree was used by the Druids, who are known for being priests and also wizards. The character of Merlin in the legend of King Arthur was a Druid wizard, and he used a wand made of holly wood. Hollywood movies are forms of sorcery using psychology, subliminal messaging, and manifestation through what is called, quote, lesser magic and bewitchment. Today, many actors in Hollywood practice witchcraft and Kabbalah. The Kabbalah Center International is located in Los Angeles, California, and many actors and entertainers are members, including Madonna, Demi Moore, Britney Spears, Ashton Kutcher, Rosie O'Donnell, and Mick Jagger. Most of them have been seen in photographs wearing the, quote, red string bracelet, which represents the red Gevurah Sephirot of the Kabbalah tree, which symbolizes fire, wrath, and judgment. And this is all related to Mars, despite the cover-up. Mars is known as the god of war in Roman mythology, and the red string Kabbalah cult is covertly promoting a war and Holocaust. Mark Breakspears is a Hollywood special effects designer, and he comes from the English Breakspear family, which produced the only English pope in history, Pope Adrian IV of Nicholas Breakspear, who also conquered Ireland for Rome. Many Hollywood actors and musicians in the entertainment industry are cult leaders who are given authority over secret societies like Wicca, Freemasonry, Illuminati cults, and New Age cults. They operate covertly and give orders through secret societies that carry out agendas, which includes gang stalking, cyber stalking, and other forms of electronic persecution. They use their wealth to fund their agents. Don Johnson already. Many of the actors and musicians are involved with satanic rituals like blood drinking and pedophilia. Many of the actors and musicians make sacrifices in order to get movie roles to get authorized to make new albums. The Church of Scientology is also involved and promotes a superior order complex, which initiates and dehumanizes the rest of society. Hollywood is propped up to function like a shield for royal and noble families that are controlling most of the United States. Madonna and Katy Perry are high-level witches. Eminem and Marilyn Manson are high-level Satanists. Ashton Kutcher is one of the top Kabbalists in Hollywood, and he even trained Natalie Portman. The evil and crookedness of him is visible. Ashton Kutcher is dangerous and plotting against humanity, along with many other members of Hollywood. Ashton Kutcher is involved in human sacrifices, torture, and blood drinking. Nazi mind control. The Pallavicini, Schwarzenberger, Orsini, Rosenberg, and Habsburg nobilities of Austria and Hungary helped to create the Nazis, along with German nobility like the Windsor, Futzenberg, Hohenzollern, and Hanover families. Excuse the mispronunciation. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is Austrian descent, is really a Schwarzenberg, and his father, Gustav Schwarzenegger, was an Austrian Nazi. The multi-billionaire George Soros' real last name is Schwartz, and he is also a relative of the Schwarzenberg family, which ruled parts of Austria and Hungary, Bohemia, where George Soros is from. Prince Karl Schwarzenberg is a politician in the Czech Republic today. Particle accelerators, HARP, satellites, and modern electronics are being used for mass mind control and are Nazi-based technologies. Another Schwarzenberg relative, Bernard Schwartz, runs Laurel Space and Communications, which merged with Orion Network Systems, which was run by Kevin Patrick Power, who is married to the actress Karen Akers, and she is a Pallavicini. Orn Electronics Limited is a Hungarian-based electronics company, and modern electronics are being used for mind control. Laurel Space and Communications, which merged with Orion Systems, also merged with Skynet Satellite Communications. Skynet is also the name of artificial intelligence in the movie Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Skynet is the name of an NSA surveillance program as well. The NSA database in Utah is regulating all of the modern electronics in the United States and are emitting electromagnetic frequencies used for mind control or manipulation on individuals on the masses. HARP is also used for mass mind control or mental influence and regulated by the United States Air Force. These satellites and modern electronics are radiating an artificial intelligence which is saturating the atmosphere and influencing the minds of society. The royal and noble families use their Jesuit or Freemasonic agents to infiltrate military and intelligence agencies which run these programs. And wrapping up part 1, the Geneva Project. Particle accelerators are generating a dense vibration in the air which is used for oppressing society. Particle accelerators are nuclear technology. The Manhattan Project was really intended for CERN and particle accelerators. CERN is located in Geneva, Switzerland, and is the European Organization for the Nuclear Research, which developed particle accelerators. The Savoy family put Benito Mussolini in power. Prince Vittorio has numerous charges against him, including murder, association with organized crime, corruption, and exploitation of prostitution. He tends to get off on all his charges, though. Prince Vittorio was also a member of the P2 Masonic Lodge, which was involved with the Vatican, Italian government, Italian media, and organized crime, like the Nuclei Armati Rivoluzionari fascist paramilitary group and Banda della Magliana, or Roman Mafia. The Genovese crime family were founded in Manhattan. They take their name from Vito Genovese, who was born in the Naples commune, just as Vittorio is the Prince of Naples. Genovese is a surname for someone from the Genoa to Italy or from Geneva, Switzerland. Genoa or Genova in Italian is the same word as Geneva is Swiss. Prince Vittorio is married to Princess Marina Doria, who was born in Switzerland. The Doria family were one of the most powerful banking families in Genoa for centuries. Prince Vittorio Emanuele IV is funding CERN and also runs the Genovese crime family for Italy and Switzerland. Donald Trump is an associate of the five families in New York, and Prince Vittorio Emanuele IV is a top owner of the five families' organized crime syndicates. They are using particle accelerators to oppress society covertly as they attempted a full takeover under Donald Trump. Labario Bellamo is an acting boss of the Genovese crime syndicate and is overseeing the Brookhaven Laboratory. In my reason, Dune Gibbs runs the Brookhaven National Laboratory, which has a relativistic heavy ion collider shaped as a hexagonal-shaped double ring used for colliding positive and negative particles. This is similar to the concept of taking a positively charged magnet and a negatively charged magnet and then binding them together in place to create a condensed form in the middle. Don Gibbs has studied condensed matter physics. They are using particle accelerators to generate oppressive forces in the atmosphere which condense the vibrations of matter. They are using the particle accelerators to increase gravitational pressure in the lower atmosphere. The word gravity derives from the Latin word gravis, which means heavy. This speeds up the rate of time and the wear on matter. Gravity has effects on time known as gravitational time dilation. The more you wear on something, the faster it will break down. Irish Illuminati bloodlines. The Guinness family are powerful
Oh, yeah. Tractor beam. Sucked me right in.